So this is a nonfiction memoir, and I thought the best way to kind of book talk it would be to read an excerpt for you. Chapter 1, Obligatory Origin Story. Maybe it was the socks. When I was a kid, I hated wearing them. I would be out walking with my folks and suddenly I'd scream, "There's a lump and a clump in my shoe!" They'd take off the shoe, assuming I'd gotten a pebble or something stuck inside, but nothing was there. It was just the stitching on the inside of the sock that had wedged itself underneath my toes and was driving me nuts. I couldn't wear short-sleeve shirts either. The change in temperature from my upper arm, covered in fabric and warm, to my forearm, completely exposed and cold, felt too great. The sensory difference threw me off, and I'd have a meltdown if someone tried to put one on me. Or maybe it was the fact that I didn't talk until I was nearly 3. Then, when I finally did, I spoke exclusively in movie quotes. I was obsessed with movies from a young age and didn't discriminate in my tastes. I'd quote everything from Casablanca to The Country Bears. I didn't really understand the words I was saying. I just liked the way they sounded. So, in the McCreary home, it was a bit like living in an episode of Full House. I'd always be ready with a punchline. Dad. "Michael, who put a kickball through the window?" Me. "Round up the usual suspects." Cue theme song. Executive producer credits. Fade to black. Whatever it was that led my parents to think, something's up with this kid, I'm grateful. Because most kids, frankly, are weird. Their instinct when they see a decrepit cardboard box is to run inside it and say, "It's a rocket ship." That's pretty weird, but society's fairly accepting of a moderate level of weirdness in kids. So I must have been exceptionally strange in my behavior to raise alarms. That being said, my folks had good reason to be concerned. My younger brother, Matthew, had just been diagnosed as autistic. Even though he and I were very different in our behavior from early on, my mom and dad had to wonder, could this be what's going on with Michael too? And that was how I ended up in a psychologist's office at age 5. My folks hoped this would give them answers, but for the time being, it only seemed to raise more questions about me.